All right, guys, welcome to the Roof Reset training module. Right now, we're just going to go over exactly how to mix a product, how to apply the product, and exactly what tools you're going to need to get started with your first job. First and foremost, you're going to need a leaf blower. Reason being is you're going to want to perform just like an overall debris removal. Some roofs are going to be heavier than others depending on where you guys are in the country. But you need a good solid leaf blower, preferably gas. And that's just going to be to remove all the large debris. Number one, you're kind of giving the customer roof cleaning. And then number two, you want to have the roof as debris free as possible before you go ahead and spray the product. The second thing here is going to be a drill. It doesn't really matter what kind of drill you use as long as it's a Milwaukee. No, I'm just kidding. But any drill will work, and then you're going to need one of these paint mixers. And the reason that is because when you mix the product yourself, you're going to have to stir it up, and it needs to be stirred up pretty efficiently. So when you get the paint mixer, make sure you get the longer one, the short, stubbier one. It definitely will still work, and if that's all you have, it'll be fine. But with this long one, it can get all the way down to the bottom. And before you spray on any product, whether it's been sitting in your truck or you're just mixing it yourself, you're going to want to mix it for at least 2 minutes, right? So the next thing we're going to get to here, this is going to be like your measuring cup, right? So if you're mixing only a 4-gallon batch up, we're gonna show you a little bit more detail later in the video, but you're gonna need something like this, which is just essentially a giant paint measuring cup. You can get these at any hardware store. The next thing is you're gonna need some type of roofing caulk. This is the actual black roofing caulk that goes around the vents. And then we have the clear, just a clear outdoor silicone. Depending on what you're doing for your roof tune-up, this is just nice to offer the customer and say, hey, since we're already up here, we're going to caulk around all your vents. We're going to look for nail pops and any damages, stuff like that. But yeah, make sure you have clear outdoor silicone and make sure you have black roofing caulk. Next thing is going to be just basic paper towel. Reason being is it is kind of a messy process sometimes, and you're going to want to have some of this stuff handy in case you spray like a skylight or you have some overspray onto some dry siding or something like that. But then you got your 4-gallon pump sprayer here. We have other videos on different sprayers, but if you want to just get started, this right here at Harbor Freight costs $29. And honestly, it works just fine. The only problem is that it is only 4 gallons, so you're going to have to probably fill it up 2 or 3 times depending on the size of the house. So it does come with a couple different attachments. Again, if you're using this specific sprayer, it's just kind of dealer's choice, but this is the one that I like. It's almost like it's got 4 little holes in there, and it just kind of gets like a wider pattern. So that's kind of it. Oh, and then this is it here. You're going to need a brush like this, and you don't necessarily need something like this, but I do highly recommend it. If they have any moss or growth or just debris in general, this is like a push broom, but it's just a little bit more aggressive of a brush, and you can really use that to scrub that stuff off before you apply the product. But keep in mind, if they have that much debris to where it's going to take you a long time to scrub everything off, you're probably going to want to just either do a soft wash yourself, or set up a partnership with a company if you don't do it, or just start doing it yourself. But light debris, problem areas like under a tree or one little section on the north side of the house, just go ahead and scrub it off yourself. It takes 15-20 minutes. And then last but not least, you're going to need your product. We ship it to you guys in 5-gallon buckets. We also do have 55-gallon drums available, but we're going to go ahead and show you guys how to mix everything up right now, and we'll go from there. Okay. So this part of the video, we're going to get more of like the exact numbers of what to mix and how to mix. We do send out a mixing chart with every single product order, but essentially it's 5 to 1. So for every 1 gallon, you put 5 gallons of water, right? So whether you're mixing up a 15-gallon batch, a 100-gallon batch, or a 4-gallon batch, it's 5 gallons of water to every 1 gallon of product. Or another way to say it would be 5 parts water to 1 part product, right? So for the particular sprayer that we're using here, most backpack sprayers are 4 gallons. So what we're going to do is we're going to put about 84 ounces in this of product. And then the rest, I believe, is 3.336 gallons of water, right? It's actually 85 ounces. And it's not like an exact science, but you just want to get it as close as you can. And I would even say err on the side of maybe a little bit extra. But what you don't want to do is just start guessing and throwing a ton of extra product in there. But if it says like 84 ounces, I mean, you get 85 in there, it's not really a huge deal. But what we're going to do now, this one goes up to 64 ounces. So we're going to fill it from 0 to 64 ounces. We're going to dump it, and then we're going to fill it right back up to about the little bit. We're going to guess because it only goes from 16 ounces to 24 ounces. So we're just going to try to get it right about in the middle there, which would be, roughly 85 ounces. Okay. Another thing I'll tell you guys too is when you guys order these buckets, when you pull this pull tab off, put your hand around it like this and pull it like that. Otherwise, when you pull that off, it's going to, it can splash up and get on you or whatever, which isn't a huge deal, but it's just something that I like to do. Another thing is it's going to pour a lot nicer if you put a little vent hole. Like if you're pouring from here, just put a little vent hole like right here. It just pours a lot better because there's not as much suction going through there. So you don't have to do that. Again, it's just something that I like to do. But we're going to go ahead and mix this now. And it is a little bit messy. So what I would recommend, if you don't want to waste product or make a big mess, just kind of have some paper towel ready. So there you go. We got 64 ounces of product. And, a lot of people ask, what does the product look like? It's, we have the strongest product that's available on the market. Most companies are only mixing it 2 to 1 is because they're actually cutting it down with water before it gets to you. But ours is the actual raw chemically modified soybean oil. So it's really gelatinous, almost like an ice cream or something like that. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to dump that in there. Okay. So then, the next part, we got roughly, another 20, 21 ounces in there. We're going to go ahead and mix that in there. So another thing that I want to talk to you guys about is it's important that you are always adding to an empty sprayer, whether it be a 4-gallon sprayer, a 15-gallon sprayer, or a 50-gallon sprayer. You always want to add empty, right? So you want it to be completely empty when you do it. And another pro tip I'm going to tell you guys right now, we lose these all the time, right? So what you're going to do is once it's completely empty and you measure out the perfect amount of product, you're going to go down here and you're going to make a mark with a flat surface. Probably get a better Sharpie, but you're going to make a mark right there. So that way in the future, you don't have to measure it out exactly every time, with the bucket, with the cup here. You can just know that from completely empty, it needs to be filled up to that line right there. So that's a pro tip. It'll save you a little bit of time in the long run. So now that you guys have your product measured out perfectly, you're going to want to just add the water. So any tap water is completely fine. Just use a garden hose. And that's why it's important to know exactly how much your sprayer holds. There's 2 ways. I guess you could measure it out in a bucket and mix it, or add the buckets of water into there. But we know that minus the product, this sprayer holds 3.36 gallons of water. So we're just going to go ahead and add the water into here. So I'm going to give you guys a really big tip here. A lot of times when you're using a garden hose, you see it almost appears that it's full right now. You don't want to stop there. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get it to this point, and you're going to want to go ahead and mix it. And when you mix it, test the drill out first, because if you hit it too hard, it can spill out. But this will get rid of all the bubbles, and it'll mix it all in. So as you can see, it was only about 3/4 full. So we're going to add the rest of the water here. And when I get to this part, I usually like to use a different head if you can, because some of them will reduce the foam. Whoa, not that one for sure. So the next part here that we're going to do is we're going to mix the product. That's where I was saying this paint mixer comes in handy. You're going to want to mix the product for at least 2 minutes. I mean, the more you mix it, the better it really is. But you have to mix it though. You cannot just shake it around, but you have to mix it some way. So we're just going to go like this for 2 minutes. All right, guys. So now that you've got your product perfectly measured out and mixed thoroughly, I want to go over a little bit about this exact 4-gallon sprayer and how much product or how much square footage it actually covers. So this 4-gallon sprayer, when completely full, will cover 800 square feet of roof, right? So before, you'll have an estimate already sent out, so you should know exactly how big the roof is. And then you just have to think in your head, okay, each one of these covers 800. So, let's say it's 2,400, 8, 16, 24. You're going to need three full sprayers to cover that roof, right? So it's not an exact science, but try to get as close to it as you possibly can. So getting back to the product itself, it really doesn't matter if it's this sprayer or a bigger sprayer. It's each gallon of mixed product covers 1,200 square feet, right? So if you look at our label here, if you have 6 gallons of product, which would be, it's 5 to 1, so 1 gallon of product and then 5 gallons of water would be 6 total gallons. That covers 1,200 square feet of roof space, okay? So it's the easiest way to remember it is that every 1 gallon of product, which is actually 6 gallons when it's being sprayed, covers 1,200 square feet of roof.